Chapter 372, I seem to have let a wolf into the house. Similar scenes were happening all over Jinzu and even Great Qian. There was no need to exaggerate Song Shi's deeds. Even if one talked about it normally, it was enough to shake people's hearts and leave a deep impression. He naturally became a hero who turned the tide. The scholars and calligraphers praised him one after another. Even a 3-year-old child looked up to him. In an instant, the streets and alleys were filled with discussions about this key figure who had allowed Great Qian to escape from the evil sects. Because of this matter, the entire Song Manor became crowded. There was an endless stream of congratulatory people who wanted to flatter him and get on his good side. There were so many that the entrance of the Song Manor became worn down. Only then did Song Hai, who was in charge of the Song family, realize how powerful his 7th brother was. Song Jia's emotions were more complicated, and she felt that she could no longer live with him the way she used to. Unknowingly, the family became even more respectful of Song Shi. On this day, Song Shi went out with his beauties. As soon as he walked out of the door, many people looked over. Song Shi thought that it was just a passerby who was stunned by the 2 women's beauty. He said with a calm expression, after settling down for half a month, we haven't explored this city. There are actually many things to do in the city. Now that it's finally more prosperous, I'll bring you around Silken City. Bai Zhaoqin looked at the familiar streets around her. Husband, I haven't seen such a peaceful scene in a long time. I don't quite understand human practices. I find it quite interesting. Bai Yuer curiously sized up the people and things on the street. Compared to Song Shi and Bai Zhaoqin, who missed the past, she only felt that the scene in front of her was novel. It's all thanks to young master defeating the devil of the sky demon cult that this place can be restored to its former state. Big Smart, who was following behind, said proudly. Rumor has it that young master is the hero who saved Great Qian and the entire continent. Mai Niang followed suit and complimented him with a smile. The 2 women felt proud. They looked at each other and smiled. They held Song Shi's arms and walked casually. It happened to be spring. Everything was reviving, and the plants were sprouting and thriving. Everything seemed to have a layer of brilliance, as if this reviving city was developing in a good direction. Look, the 2 ladies are so beautiful. The people they accompany are so familiar. I seem to have seen them somewhere before. Isn't this the reincarnated immortal young Master Song? He's even more handsome than the portrait. As expected of the hero of Great Qian, the #1 cultivator. It's really the hero himself. We're too lucky to meet a hero. As Song Shi and company advanced, more and more people gathered along the way. All of them looked at Song Shi in awe and gratitude. Have I become a celebrity? Song Shi was speechless. He pursed his lips and said, who's so bored that they spread the news about me everywhere? Young master has indeed done a lot for everyone. There are some things that shouldn't be buried. Bai Yuer chuckled. At this moment, an extremely excited voice came from the front. At that time, I followed Immortal Song and watched as he killed everyone. I also killed the guys from the demon cult until they cried for mercy. It was so satisfying. Song Shi's face darkened. Who's talking nonsense here? Immortal Song Isher, a busybody shouted, and the people listening to the Taoist priest's story turned around. When they saw the 2 beauties and the peerless young master, they ran over to watch. The Taoist was left hanging and revealed his appearance. Song Shi looked over and frowned. Taoist Kai, you're just a foundation establishment cultivator. Why do you act like a seasoned storyteller? Is there aimed? Brother Song, I didn't expect it to be you. Taoist Kai was pleasantly surprised as he walked down from the stage. He rubbed his hands as he walked and said with a flattering expression, I've always wanted to meet Brother Song again. I've been guarding outside the Song mansion every day. I have nothing to do, so I'll tell everyone about your achievements. I don't believe you. Song Shi shook his head. Could this guys really think he don't know his real personality? The fellow who secretly looted the corpse with him had always been someone who would do things for others unless there were benefits. Why would he help him waste his breath here and make him, Song Shi, look impressive? Actually, there are also people who want to publicize Brother Song's contribution. You know that since I'm an independent cultivator, I have to make a living. Taoist Kai smiled awkwardly and told him the truth. Who? Songshi was quite curious about who would wanted to spread his name. That's me. Brilliant light appeared in the distance, and a woman in palace clothes flew over. Her muscles and bones carried a jade-like light, and she had a noble temperament. Her eyes were bright and deep, and the light image made the world pale in comparison. Wuxia. Songshi was not too surprised. He estimated that the person who was spreading his name was most likely related to the royal family. It was more reasonable for it to be Princess Wuxia. Princess Wuxia landed elegantly in front of Songshi. She raised her head and said proudly, "My husband should be a peerless hero. How can a pearl be covered in dust? Who are you? When did young master become your man?" Bayur did not like Wuxia's dignified and noble appearance and retorted, "Sister, this is my agreement with my husband. If he kills the sky demon saint, I will marry him." Princess Wuxia was neither servile nor overbearing. She was not afraid just because Bayur was a soul transformation demon venerable. Songshi waved his hand at Bayur and said calmly, "Since you've come knocking on my door, follow me. We'll consummate our marriage when we get home later. Husband, don't be anxious. My dowry and brothers will come. Can't you wait 2 days and let the 8 palanquins be carried into the Song family first?" Wuxia blushed shyly. The surrounding people were in an uproar. Princess Wuxia is going to marry the reincarnated immortal. What a perfect match! Even the princess has to marry him. It can be seen how powerful immortal Song is. If I can see this with my own eyes, I can brag for the rest of my life. Songshi was stunned. He thought that this woman was joking, but he did not expect her to be serious. He looked seriously at the delicate and blushing Wuxia, who seemed to want to reject him, and mocked, "Are you doing this for yourself or for the broken great Kion to marry me?" Wuxia's eyes lit up as she smiled mischievously. "Can't I marry you because I like you and want to give birth to your child? There are many women who want to give birth to my child. It depends on whether you have the ability or not." Songshi did not refuse. This was indeed a promise from back then. He had already killed the Sky Demon Saint, so Wuxia should indeed marry him as promised. However, he did not expect this woman to maximize the value of this matter. Recently, Princess Wuxia had been trying her best to spread his name. She definitely did not want him to become a hero. Instead, she wanted to use his reputation to intimidate the thieves and protect the rule of the royal family of Great Kion as much as possible. Originally, after the war, Great Kion had already suffered heavy losses. Many prefectures would probably set up their own mountains. Some people would even have designs on the imperial city. At this moment, they needed a powerhouse to intimidate them. As the one who affected the entire situation, he was naturally the best candidate. If Wuxia married him, it would be even more legitimate for him to get closer to the royal family. Bayur was the second to figure it out. She glanced at Wuxia fearfully. This was a woman who was even more capable than her. She had to be careful in the future. Seeing that Songshi had tacitly agreed to her actions, Wuxia heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. "Husband, you won't blame me for taking matters into my own hands, right? You're not married yet. It's only natural for you to seek benefits for your family. Treat it as my dowry." Songshi did not mind. "Work harder in the future. If you can give birth to a son for me, I will manage this country on behalf of my in-laws." Wuxia was stunned. What was going on? Did she seem to have lured a wolf into her house?